Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special review of all the talk right now, Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1. I'm joined by Antony to talk all things Stranger Things.
Yes, I'm very excited. Of course, the Duffers are proud alumni of the film school I attend. It's probably the reason
Mm-hmm.
I'm there, because the first time I went to visit, they had a huge sign that said proud alumni, and they had a poster above the parking garage. So this show, without hyperbole, I think did change my life. So
Mm. Yeah,
I'm very excited.
yeah, they are definitely doing a good job. I think it's time they graduate to movies once this is over, I would say. Um, but yes, I would say just starting off with Stranger Things Season 4, there are three main storylines here. There's the Russia storyline, there's the California storyline, and then there is the Hawkins storyline. And I would say, in my opinion at least, I think the Hawkins storyline is like the clear best of the three. I thought it was the most entertaining and also emotional of all of them. During the other storylines, I did feel myself kind of wanting to go back to Hawkins, but I did enjoy the other two storylines. The Russia storyline, I think, started off a little slow for me, but I think it got more interesting as Joyce and Murray pushed forward a little bit. I thought it ended quite well. The final scene of that storyline was quite emotional. But I gotta mention, I'm continually disappointed by how with each season, Joyce's character gets less and less to do. And she gets like nothing to do this season. I think like Murray gets more to do with her. I mean, Hopper gets a ton to do. I mean, this season she's like reduced. I mean, even in the past few seasons, she's reduced to just like trying to help everyone else out and not do anything for herself. So I'm really hoping with the final season that she gets like something of her own to do, because like she's the heart of that first season. Like I think also the best performance of that first season. She's one of my favorite characters, so I need to say Joyce deserves better, as well. The buyers in general deserve better.
Took the words out of my mouth. I agree. I think they went a little overboard with Murray. I think that
Yeah,
Murray could have maybe come to help call Enzo, but then I think Joyce needed to go alone to Russia. I felt
yeah,
like this is a character that in many ways in season one was all about claiming her independence and not relying on other people to solve her issues. That's why I love the moment when she runs out of the house, when one of the first times that she talks to Will through the Christmas lights, and then she walks
yeah,
back in because she's like, that's the character. And so to make her the background of her own storyline and really give it nothing to do and just allow Brett Gelman, who's very funny, but allow
yeah,
him just improv, it seems, a lot of these funny things. At this point, I'm just like, all right, just have Joyce teach herself Russian off screen in between the
yeah,
two seasons, or between season 3 and 4, and then just have her know Russian. Because I feel like that was their thing of he's the only one that knows Russian. I'm like, well, then
hmm,
teach Joyce it.
yeah,
Because I agree. I think the Russia storyline, it delivers in two fronts. I think the monologue about Hopper and
yeah,
his connection to the Vietnam War, and that he, in maybe a way, is the reason why his daughter Sarah died because of his connection to Agent Orange. I thought that was a very moving monologue and allowed us
yeah,
to see. And I like the idea of the character, all of the characters thinking they're the curse. I thought that was a
mhm,
nice theme throughout. Eleven thinks that he thought it there, and then of course the final scene in the Russia storyline for
yeah,
Volume One with the Demogorgon fight, that was great. But it definitely felt like there could have been more pointed moments if they just isolated it to Hopper and Joyce and had
hmm,
both characters on this journey kind of confront their lives. I think, and I don't think the show has made a mistake with this, but I think it could have been a really great place to be Joyce sacrificing so many things to do all these things, but how has that affected Jonathan? How has that affected Will? How has that affected
hmm,
herself? I would have loved maybe if both of them were kind of trapped, similar to 11, in this journey, allowing them to reflect on what we've come before. I think that would have benefited them, because what it
yeah,
essentially was a breakout that didn't break them out, and then Brett Gelman just auditioning for SNL. That seemed
yeah,
what this whole
yeah,
storyline was.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but it was still enjoyable, and I think it, again, my whole thing with this is the season's not done. We're only we're
We still
essentially
got, yeah,
in past seasons around the episode 6 mark. So it's hard for me to say, because they of course approach this as a film, as these long movies. That's why they release them in the binge model, which I think still works for the show. And so it's, the story's not done yet for this particular chapter, so I'm willing, to give them a little bit of leeway until volume two comes in. And I have
Hmm.
faith in them that volume two is going to really bring this all home. And there isn't, it's not, I don't have a lot of glaring things. This was just one of them where I felt like
Yeah.
they're really spinning their wheels. The California thing, too, as we wait for Will
Yeah.
to get the confidence to share his painting and his feelings with Mike.
Yes, indeed. I would say Hopper and Enzo were, I think, the highlight of the Russian storyline for me, especially once they're more united towards the end and the conversations they have together. And one of like, I won't spoil anything, but like the dinner scene towards the end was, I think, Hopper's speech during that, as well as the curse speech you mentioned. I think both were very well done.
Like I
But
almost
yeah,
wish that like Enzo was maybe like Hopper season one, and like
yeah,
it could have allowed him to like see a version of himself before
yeah,
all this, and then have him like because that's the thing. And again, this is where I'm saying like we haven't reached the end yet, so I can't adequately judge it. But like if this whole thing is for Hopper to really reassess where his life has gone, I feel like they only did that in like few glaring moments instead of like it being an overarching character arc for him. And I feel like
yeah,
that could have been an area where they did it, where like let's say like the guy was like didn't care about his son and like I'll get home
yeah,
to him when I
yeah,
get home, and Hopper's like, no, spend the time. The
yeah,
children grow up so fast. So like again, it just felt like they were running their wheels because the Hawkins stuff, which I agree was the best parts of this season, aside from the end villain reveal, like
hmm
the Hawkins stuff was just so interesting, but it took more time to tell that story than the Russia story.
yeah, yeah. And just warning, I do believe Enzo is going to die. I believe they're setting him up very much so to die.
I've
So
thought so many of these
get the
characters
tissues
would
ready.
die by now, and they're still alive and kicking. So I don't know. I
Seriously,
literally,
you got to
I
kill
on
someone
my
off. The cast is growing too much. It's
on my
time.
second rewatch of season four, volume one, which I just finished an hour ago. I was watching the this final episode, and I was just like, the way they were like, I was like, is Enzo now going to join our adult crew? Are we just like never gonna
Oh
like? It's
God.
like killing Enzo in the Coliseum would have been like the perfect place to like let him
Yeah,
go. Like really.
yeah.
But I still give them credit. When Chrissy and Fred were introduced, I did not think they were going to be red shirts. So I still give the show credit.
Yes.
This show, we can talk more about positives now. This show's
Mhm.
ability to introduce new characters is just
Incredible.
breathtakingly good. Like you never feel like these characters are wasted or red shirts or placeholders. Like they're so well defined.
They are very much so. I mean, I was very sad with what happened. I thought Chrissy was going to be like a mainstay this season, and then not so. And Fred as well. I think those were. I think the way they built those characters up, and then what happens to them. I mean, everyone's seen it by now. I think that was very effective. I think sadly they didn't do that with the other. I don't know his name. The final
Patrick.
victim, Patrick. Yeah, they didn't do as much so with him, but I think they were in the heat of other storylines during that, and less so at the beginning. Um, so I guess before we go to the best storyline, we can briefly talk about the California storyline. Um, I thought this was fine at first, but once the group got split up, the group that remained in California, they didn't get much to do at all. I think, which was
Once the best
surprising.
character of the show left the storyline, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and Joyce, who's also a great character, also left. Yeah, once it was just those kids. I mean, Will, Mike, Jonathan, and Argyle, who I'll be honest, I know lots of people love him. I was not a huge fan of Argyle. He annoyed
I
me a little
loved
bit.
it. It was a lot of fun.
He had his moments. I just thought he was overplayed at times. He definitely did steal the scenes, especially because Will, Mike, and Jonathan, none of them are like big characters. They're all a little quieter. They're not like hugely defined like a character like say Dustin or anyone is. Um, and I think considering how big characters they are, I think they deserve a little bit better, especially Will. I hope they handle what's going on with Will and Mike a little bit better in the final two episodes. I mean,
I
they were gone
imagine
from
they
the last
will.
episode.
Because again, like the Russian storyline at times, this felt like they were like spinning their wheels until we can get to them. It's like, all
Yeah,
right, sit in the timeout chair because we're gonna get to you, but we got to do this first. Um, yeah, I think Volume Two is gonna do it. Because I really like the idea of Vecna, and we can get into the villain in a second. But like
yeah,
playing on the character's fears, very similar to Pennywise. And I feel like we're gonna do that with Will and his fear of his sexuality and his feelings for Mike. Um, but yeah, I've always had a feeling that this show is going to come back around to Will. I
I
have a
hope
feeling that
so. He was so important.
yeah, like I think he's going to be the final death in the final episode as like
That
a
will be
full
sad.
circle. Like Um, but so I feel like we're gonna get more of him. I at least hope. I'm holding out hope because he's such a great actor and character.
Yeah,
But yeah, he just seems to be in the background as people forget his birthday.
I know. That was so sad. The writers did thankfully come, the Duffer Brothers came out and said that that wasn't intentional, but it doesn't make it any less sad. But yeah, he really does deserve better, especially because he was, I mean, in the first and second season, I think he was like the main spotlight. At least he wasn't the main character in the first season, but he was like the main drive.
Yeah,
He was very
he was the
important.
MacGuffin of the first season, and he was
Yeah,
the I would say the best, one of the best parts of the second season. I thought he was brilliant in the second season,
yeah.
as
And
was Joyce too.
I do worry for him because if he goes back in Hawkins, there's a lot of trauma that Vecna can use against that poor child. Hopefully he doesn't die, and then they like look at his painting, and it's a painting of all of them like together, and they're like, "Oh dang,
Oh, that would be
we
brutal.
didn't show him enough attention," and then everyone's sad. Um, but yeah, I mean, and then we can go to the more interesting side of this, the 11 side of this. I found the flashbacks for the most part very good. There were moments when I think more interesting stuff was happening, like in the current timeline, where I was like, oh, we're flashing back, and a lot didn't happen. But overall, I had a good time seeing the whole, I don't know what it was called, the whole program that they had going
The
on.
Nina Project.
Yeah, yeah, as well as the flashbacks to all the other kids, and it was a nice twist at the end that 11 did not kill all the children, as I don't think they were going to have the main character do that.
I mean, after Daenerys, anything's possible.
True, true.
But yeah, I really love this. I thought it was real. It reminded me of Harry Potter and the Half Blood Prince, of like going back into flashbacks to this time we didn't even know it was the villain, but it ended up
Yeah,
being the villain of one Henry Creel, Vecna, Peter Ballard. He has many names, but Jamie Campbell Bower I thought was just really fantastic here. I
yes,
really loved exploring this, and it was a really well done twist because he's not introduced till the fifth episode in Jamie Campbell Bower, the actor isn't.
yeah,
So like it was a twist that like you could, like I was putting certain pieces together, but the fact that they were all the same person I thought was really well done. Yeah,
yeah,
I just, all of these scenes I thought having a flashback, having her relive these memories as a way of like because this is what I kind of wanted from Hopper and Joyce, because 11 is questioning her own self after Angela and her violent tendencies there, which was just really great. So like she's questioning whether she's a monster or a superhero, and by the end she realizes that she's something in between, but she is motivated to be good. And so this was really well done because having her as she is now, her age, go back into her memories, it saves us from a lot of wonky VFX, but also is a great way to have this
yeah,
character be very introspective about her journey. So I thought that was a really cool idea of having her go back into these memories. And it was always cool how she was floating in the water. All this
yeah,
stuff worked great.
yeah,
And Reiser and Modine working together was a lot of fun too. I
yeah,
hope they have a little
yeah.
bit more to do with volume two.
That was a nice dynamic, and I do think all the flashback stuff as well as the current stuff made for a lot of good performance opportunities for Millie Bobby Brown, who did a really good job there, as we will talk about when we
Yeah.
quickly go into the Emmy stuff. But
Very
anything,
like reactionary. Like her, a lot of that
yeah,
is like her reacting, and the fact that she's still as like enigmatic as ever is
hmm,
proof that she's a great actor, because like that could be very passive and very like the character doesn't have much to do, but
yeah,
she makes it work.
she does, she totally does. And yeah, I do think that that one reveal was very well done, especially because his story and the flashbacks are like not connected to like I think most of the like Vecna and like Creel stuff is going on in the Hawkins storyline. So it's cool how they mix together at the end.
Yeah,
But yeah, getting into the Hawkins storyline, this was my favorite. What did you think about this one?
I loved it. The show's highlight for me was when the four teens were trapped in the Upside Down. I thought that was just
Hmm.
so inventive.
Yeah,
The idea of the Upside Down being frozen in the past is such a cool idea. I loved when they were talking through the lights, and then when they were trying to go like upside down, trying to get
yeah,
back to the gate. So inventive, so creative. I really love the chemistry that these characters have. And I love that the characters really like live in the world of the show. Like it's not like they always have like, okay, for season four, this is our objective. Like
hmm,
they really feel like they're just living their lives and this stuff happens to them. And there's a spontaneity to these characters that I really enjoy. And the
yeah,
actors are just so damn likable, both new and old. I thought Eddie was
hmm,
a great addition, and he
yeah,
just fits in perfectly. I feel like Eddie, in many ways, is kind of filling in the void of Jonathan, at
yeah.
least
Poor
with the
Jonathan.
main
Yeah,
crew. Yeah, I think as soon as he kissed Nancy, that character kind of like again, because I feel like all the buyers have been trying to like their whole arcs have been like try to be independent and try to be like their own person, and they just seem to attach themselves to other more interesting characters, which is a shame because they are
Yeah.
interesting characters. But yeah, I loved Eddie. I thought the try like I really liked how they portrayed the like the Hawkins finally getting fed up with
Hmm.
what's happening, and the
Yeah.
parents getting involved was a lot of fun. That was a really cool like way to, like just seeing those dynamics of all the parents working together was a lot of fun. I hope we get more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just the 80s horror, like this is the most they've ever gone into horror, I feel, with like the breaking
Definitely.
of the jaw and like the eyes going back and the
It's really
Stephen
scary.
King stuff. It was just really effective horror sequences. It was really fun. The show continues to manage to be both dark and fun at the same time. And
Yeah.
yeah, I really, especially because tonally this is so different than season three visually. Like
Yes.
it's not neon. It's like very like it's it has an autumn aesthetic even though it's spring break. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I do think, I mean, this is really the only storyline with horror aspects, I would say. I think that's part of what made it the most interesting to me. Also, what made it the most interesting is simply most of my favorite characters were here. I mean, you got Steve, you got Dustin, you've got Nancy, Robin. Those were most of my favorites. The only one who's really missing is like Joyce and Will and Eleven, who are often doing their own stuff. But I would say the highlight for me and my favorite episode is the Max stuff in episode 4. Really strong stuff, as we'll get into with the quick Emmy talk. I do think Sadie Sink gave probably the best performance this season. I think she's an incredible actress. I think she's easily one of the best of the cast, especially of the young kids. You can just tell, you can see so much like thought put into her work, like during that scene where she's reading the note to Billy, and you can tell that she's like crying, but she doesn't want to cry. Like she doesn't want to actually like show emotion, but like she can't hold it back. Just like she did a really good job. I mean, her scene towards the end of episode 4, I think, is the emotional high point, at least of volume 1 so far. That's where I found myself the most emotionally invested. Um, so I do think she's my favorite part of that. I also enjoyed the Nancy and Robin stuff. I thought that was a cool, fun pairing
Yeah.
when they went to the insane asylum. I thought that was very fun. I mean, Steve and Dustin are always fun. Steve continues to be fun. Eddie, even though he disappeared a little bit in the middle of the season, when he is with the crew, he really does hold his own as his own interesting character. And then Dustin is just Dustin. He always sticks out. And I did enjoy the Lucas bit of like trying to like be with the popular kids, but then like trying to like work that middle ground. But they kind of abandoned that once he ditched them. Um, and the popular kids kind of disappeared a little bit until the end. But yeah, I would say overall, I think this is like the storyline that feels the most like Stranger Things to me. I think the other ones felt a little less Stranger Things. And I would say this is the only season since the first season, in my opinion, where it felt like there was a true mystery and intrigue going on. I would say the second and third season, they didn't have the same mystery or depth to it, in my opinion, like with the whole Russian mall stuff and the upside
I'll
down
give
stuff.
you I will give you that. I think what was really cool about this mystery, because I have enjoyed like putting the pieces together in past seasons, but I think
Yeah.
what this season did extraordinary, almost too well. Because I don't know about you, first time I watched this show, I watched it in one day. I was so like happily annoyed because I was like, give me answers. Like it
Yeah.
was such a good mystery that I was like, for the love of God, reveal your cards. And when they do, it's just so cathartic and brilliant,
It
and
is.
just it's not what you're expecting. And that's why I think the Vecna reveal is so cool. And I've been wanting a humanoid villain in this franchise. I think they needed a
Yes.
real threat
Someone
that's
who
in human
speaks.
form. Because I think as Walt Disney always said, when you animate a character, you draw their eyes last because the eyes are the window to the soul.
Yes.
And so we needed a villain with eyes from the upside
Mhm.
down, and I'm glad we finally got that with Vecna. And yeah, it was a really great mystery. I loved like the fact that this happened in 1959 with Victor Creel. Great to see Robert Englund in that great scene.
Yeah.
The original Freddy Krueger. But like it was like, how did he get through without? And that's what I love about this season is it answers questions you didn't know to ask, and the questions
Mhm.
they do ask, you're just captivated with them until they reveal them. And again, like the stuff I point to, like the fact that the upside down is frozen the day Will is saying, like that's
Yeah.
brilliant, and I can't wait to see how it all comes to a head in volume 2.
Yes. Agreed. So yeah, I guess unless you have anything else to say, we can go on to the Emmy chances.
I'm very happy for Kate Bush. I'm glad she's seeing some
Oh yes,
nice.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Incredible song.
Yeah. Great scene. And also just one last thing. I really have always enjoyed how Stranger Things has been able to use science fiction and the upside down to represent like depression and mental like illness.
Yeah,
And I think 11. I want to see how they wrap up this whole thing with Papa, because like
it's
I don't know. I always
interesting.
saw 11 and like everything in the first season is like her being a victim of child abuse. So like
Yes.
I kind of don't want them to warm up to that. Like I don't want the two of those characters like be like, oh, thank you for pushing
Yeah.
me because now I have like none of like this guy was like abusive. Like that's why like he was no, we don't
No.
redeem Matthew
Yeah.
redeem.
He kind of
Um,
created the villain here.
yeah, so exactly. So that's why I'm like, but that's I've always loved that, and I think what Max has done here, and like Billy was very like he was abusive to her, but I
Yes.
imagine like it's a hard thing to quantify. Like it's similar to like I hate the movie and I have issues with the show, but the song Requiem from Dear Evan Hansen is a really great song that
Mm,
talks about when people die that are like have problematic feelings with you, and like how do you quantify that, because you're forced. I feel like society forces you to be sad when people die,
yeah.
especially people that are close to you, and I think that's where that monologue, the Dear Billy monologue, really comes through, because it shows that if you don't understand yourself because of the problematic emotions surrounding death or a person, you fundamentally don't understand you, and that could be just a terrible thing. And so Sadie Sink does a great job in the first 4 episodes of really playing that up.
Definitely. Yeah. I agree. Which is why I would hope, going to the Emmy chances, that in Best Drama Supporting Actress, Sadie Sink gets nominated. I honestly, I mean, there's 8 spots. I would say she has the best shot of all the actors to get a nomination, in my opinion. Would you agree?
If she gets nominated, I think it's going to be a Gwendolyn Christie situation, because
Okay.
she's not.
Yeah.
She's never been nominated before. She's never been talked about being nominated before,
No.
and so it would solely be for this one episode. Which, granted, it's a great episode and she gives a great performance, but like this feels to me like Tom Pelphrey and Ozark. Like they captivate us in this season, but the people at large, the people within the industry, like I honestly think the stronger contender for supporting actress is going to be Millie Bobby Brown, because they've nominated her
I don't.
before.
Yeah.
She's very good, and she's very good consistently throughout. My thing with Sadie Sink is not that she is bad in the latter half, but her main thing comes halfway through, where 11 is more recent. You got my thing? Like her
Yeah.
better scenes are at the end. So I don't know. It just I want her to get nominated because I think she's a really good actor, and I would love if this show could like highlight somebody else. But like they
Hmm.
didn't even nominate Winona Ryder for season 1, so
Which is insane.
like it seems like they go for the stuff that they're used to, and so I don't know. I don't know how much that Taylor Swift music video did to up her like
Hopefully a lot.
awareness for her career.
Yeah.
Um, so we shall see. I think that I if I'm choosing right now, I think that there is a strong likelihood that Millie Bobby Brown and Sadie Sink both get nominated,
Okay.
but I'm not sure on either of them. So
Yeah. Especially since they're in the same category. I mean, I don't. Millie Bobby Brown is not a supporting character in this show. She's the lead, but I mean
yeah.
that's the way it's campaigned. Um,
I honestly would put more stock in David Harbour getting a nomination for
yeah,
episode
he's
5
been
for
nominated. Yeah.
because he's been nominated. I think he is well respected as like a
Hmm.
journeyman who like finally got this great role. I think he has a better shot than either Sink or Brown, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I think those are your 3 main contenders. I can't think of anyone else who would be nominated. I mean, Winona Ryder is an incredible actress, but she got nothing to do.
Yeah.
Um, so
That
yeah,
seems like they're going to get her at the end. They're going to nominate her for the final season.
I would hope. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, again, maybe I'm wrong. I just feel like Sadie Sink is being beloved by people within the show's
Hmm.
fandom. The question is whether people outside the show really relate. And you have to get people who have not watched the show before to watch this episode singularly and vote for her. And that's, I
Yeah.
think, my only thing is like they're familiar with Millie Bobby Brown, they're familiar with David Harbour, and so I think they have better shots
Yeah.
potentially. But we'll see. It's a very good episode, and I think, like we were talking about Top Gun Maverick, it's very emotionally moving.
Mhm.
So it could.
It's
But I
possible.
don't think it's a hundred. Like I don't think it's 100%. I think Sarah Snook, Julia
No.
Garner, those are guarantees.
Yes.
I'm not so sure with her, but maybe we'll see
Yeah.
how it campaigns.
Yeah. And I mean, the last two episodes will have an influence, I would say, because they will be coming out in the middle of said voting. I'm sure Millie Bobby Brown will get more to do in those episodes than Sadie Sink, I would guess. But I mean, we shall see. And then obviously, I think we all agree best drama series is going to be nominated. I don't see it's going to win. The competition is too strong there, but I do think it will definitely be nominated there. And then obviously, outside of that, it'll get like directing nominations, plenty of tech nominations, maybe a writing nomination. Who knows? But
Yeah,
I would say those are the main ones.
I think it probably will get. I could see it getting a best writing nomination. I think episodes 4 and 7 will do
Those are
very
the
well in directing and writing. Technically, yes, this is going to be a really, they're going to love this show because it embraces practical effects in many ways. And I think that's what's really great about this show. Yeah, and then I think those three actors potentially, maybe we'll see. Again, it depends on people who are not fans of the show voicing their support. And then, yeah, best drama series guaranteed at this point, I think. I mean, if season 3 could get in, and I love season 3 might be my favorite season, but season 3, it didn't. I feel like this season has more gravitas, so I feel like
Definitely.
it will get in if season 3 got in.
Yeah, yeah. So is that it for Emmy chances and thoughts? I just want to quickly say shout out to Joe Keery as Steve. He's also one of my favorites, and I really hope he is not going to die.
Whenever he does die,
oh god,
he might not die. But
I mean,
if
he's
let's say
not
he
looking
dies
good.
let's say he dies in season 4, volume 2. If it happens there, or let's say he lives to the end, whenever his last season is, I think he will Gwendolyn Christie and he will get nominated. I could see that happen.
So. Yeah,
it depends if the show sticks its landing. Because that's the thing. Game of Thrones already had this aura to it by the time it ended that it didn't really matter how it ended. It was going to, be this behemoth. If Stranger Things can stick the landing, it could replicate a Game of Thrones type sweep for its final season. It could.
Yeah. And also quick shout out, Natalie Dyer. I think is really good as Nancy, and I always like her character. So, too many people to shout out. They're also good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Indeed. So yeah, those are our thoughts on Stranger Things season 4 and its Emmy chances, or season 4 volume 1 and its Emmy chances. Volume 2 comes out in like 20 days, very soon. And if you want more Stranger Things 4 content, Antony, where could they find that?
Spoilers ahead at Antony Post right here on YouTube. Got some theories and predictions. We'll have a volume 2 review, and then maybe I'll rank the seasons when all is said and done come July. We'll see.
Yes, indeed. So comment your thoughts on the season down below. Like the video. Comment your thoughts on its Emmy predictions down below. And subscribe, and we will see you next time.